Hey everyone, welcome back to Addie P's Real Estate Tea. For today, I want to delve into some industry market predictions for 2022. So thank you for joining me. If you're returning back to this channel, you're a subscriber, thank you for returning. If you're just visiting today and this is your first time watching the channel, thank you as well. Don't forget, if you like what you hear in this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Also consider subscribing for more content, and remember to hit the bell notification to be notified of future videos on this channel. And you already know, if you're watching your girl from Instagram, drop me a heart and show me some love. All right. Now, I have been following a lot of industry experts over the past couple weeks to see what their thoughts were going to be on the 2022 housing market and what we were due to expect as far as interest rates, buying activity, selling activity, will the market crash, all of these questions that we have. So just to dig right into this here, the first on the list is mortgage rates. Now, pre-pandemic, which is kind of the period that we're in. I don't know with this new variant what's happening here, but needless to say, right now as it stands, we are, as an economy, digging our way out of the pandemic mess. So with that being said, just like any other sector of the economy, inflation has taken place. It is taking place. It's not going to go anywhere. It's something that we will definitely have to get used to. Well, that is also playing out in the mortgage field, and they are predicting that mortgage rates will rise. So those of you who have been kind of back and forth about, is it the right time for me to buy at this point? You'll definitely want to, sit down quickly, weigh out all your options, and see where that's going to put you at. Because with the interest rates rising, obviously it's going to be more costly for you to borrow money. So you'll definitely want to take a look at that. Now, what the industry experts are stating is that the average cost will be at about 3.5%, the interest rate, which is still low in comparison to even 2018 and years prior to that. So a mortgage rate at 3.5% is not too bad, but they're saying that's the average. That could be a little bit more. Now, honestly speaking, from my own observation with clients that I already have clients, a few actually, that are at this mortgage rate in comparison to maybe earlier this year, where we were still, most of my clients were in the high twos, mid twos with their interest rates. So interest rates have definitely gone up, and I do foresee that continuing to rise as we move on. It's going to get more expensive to borrow that money. Now, home prices. Great news for sellers, those who missed the boat in 2020, 2021, 2022. We are also, industry experts are saying that they see home prices continuing to rise. However, they're saying that they do not see it rising in the double digits like it was in 2021. This year, a lot of home prices, they were soaring in the double digits, 12, 15% in some markets. So we definitely are still going to see home prices rising. So that's definitely great news for sellers. However, it will not be, I don't think it's going to be this crazy, like I said, 15, 20%, whatever the case may be, rise in home prices. So definitely great news for the sellers. If you are missed that boat, this is still going to be your year to come in 2022 to list your home. All right. As far as home sales, industry experts are saying that they see that home sales are going to slow down a bit. In some markets, that's already happening. A lot of that they're saying, though, it's going to be more consistent with a more balanced housing market of equal buyer demand and equal inventory that's available. So that's not a horrible thing. That's, we kind of want that, especially from the buying side. It's been very difficult. It may actually help to stabilize, like I just said, those housing prices that were going through the roof. That will give some folks a little bit more of an opportunity to potentially buy. However, I do kind of see an issue with housing affordability that was really under attack this past year in 2021. So it's interesting to see where those housing prices rise, where that's actually going to come into play with folks' ability to be able to purchase a home and their affordability. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. And I do have a video on the channel talking about housing affordability. And it still stands true that owning a home or a property is a wealth building and a generational wealth building material. Oftentimes, unfortunately, people of color do not get a chance to experience that benefit of home ownership. For various reasons, which, I mean, if you're interested in talking about it, comment below, let me know, and I would love to do a video on that, because it definitely is something that impacts a lot of folks. And like I said, especially people of color, they tend to have lower rates of home ownership, therefore really harming the ability to be able to have generational wealth. If you look at generational wealth in a sense of, say, my parents owned a home and now they are deceased, they're gone, and so forth, and they've given that home over to me as to pass it down in the family. That could either be a rental property for me. I could rent it out to someone and get some income from that, or B, if I would like to sell the property and get some money and get another property or so forth, that I could do that. Well, that is not the case in some communities where that ability to be able to pass down property and so forth has been able to take place. But like I said, we'll definitely, if you want to hear more about that and have a discussion about that, comment in the comment section below, and we definitely will. All right, so foreclosure activity. Now, industry experts are saying, and we're not going to see, or they're not expecting to see, what we saw in 2008 with the onslaught of short sales, foreclosures, and so forth. But they are expecting to see a slight uptick in that activity, which makes sense because, like I said, as we are digging our way out of this pandemic, we are seeing that there are some folks that were economically devastated by this pandemic in the sense of maybe job loss. Not everyone qualified for forbearance. Some did, but some of those forbearance periods are ending. And at the end of that forbearance period, depending on how your loan was structured, you may or may not have to pay that lump sum of money back. Well, some folks don't have that lump sum of money to pay back to keep current with their mortgage. So that's definitely something that we may, their industry experts are predicting that we may see is a slight uptick in that. Again, not sure how much of it, but I would agree that we probably will see some more activity. Now, the question of everybody on everyone's mind, for the latter part of this year, more so than anything, is will the market crash in 2022? Well, industry experts, most of them are saying no. And there are some factors, and I received this information from KCM, or Keeping Current Matters, their real estate blog. But needless to say, they made the point that you need some factors here to create this recipe for a crash. And one of those factors are you would need rapid decline in home prices. Well, that's something that we're not seeing right now. And like I just reported, we are still predicted to see some rise in home prices. So you would need that. You would need more inventory levels. That's one thing that industry experts did make mention of, is that we are going to potentially continue to see the decline in inventory. And for me, I think that that will continue, maybe even well into 2022, but we'll get there. But needless to say, you would need more inventory in order to have that dynamic to happen. And of course, a dip in buyer demand. So then you would just have houses kind of just hanging out there, no buyers for them, and the prices being dirt cheap. So that's not going on right now. And as we can see it in the first, quarter of 2022, it is probably not going to happen that way. All right. So another part of that mix is lending. Prior to the 2008 crash, lending practices, unfortunately, were very loose. They were not really vetting buyers appropriately. If you had a pulse, you got a loan. So, and you more than likely probably got a loan for way more than what you could afford. So it definitely put a lot of folks, unfortunately, into a position where they went under. And again, when you have this mix of home prices being, really low, and you have a lot of buyer demand, or you don't have a lot of buyer demand, excuse me, it just is not a good mix. So those things are not going on, and lending practices are really stringent, in my opinion, a little too stringent in some cases, but they definitely have cleaned up their act from the lending perspective, and to help ward off any issues in the future with potential crash in the lending sector. So as far as, just to sum that whole thing up, with the market crashing in 2022, the answer from industry experts is no. They are not predicting a crash. They are predicting a more balanced real estate market. Now, my thoughts on 2022. Now, in my opinion, should employment come back and make a rebound to pre-pandemic levels, then I think that we will continue to see growth in the housing market. We will continue to see that robust buyer demand. We will continue to have a good, healthy housing market. I do agree that things will probably level off at some point, for, lack of better words, a normal housing market where we have healthy buyer demand and we have a decent amount of inventory. I think that me personally, I don't think that we'll see that until probably mid-year. I think spring, the first quarter, because we're still seeing multiple bids, at least here in the Lehigh Valley. Let me put it to you that way. Here in the market that I service, which is Lehigh Valley, some of Monroe County, we're still seeing multiple bidding war type situations. So I think the first part of this year, at least the first quarter, we are definitely still going to see a lot of heightened buyer demand, because we still have buyers from 2020 who did not achieve buying a home. And then spilling over into 2021, the market was crazy. We definitely had multiple bidding situations and so forth, very low inventory. We definitely still have those buyers who did not get the opportunity to be able to buy, that are hanging out waiting. So I think that until the bulk of those buyers are able to get what they need, we're still going to continue to see that. So like I said, I do anticipate that that's going to be in the mid part of 2022, where things may cool down a little bit. We may see some more balance and so forth. And at that point in time, that, again, I'm not saying to discourage anyone. Please, get out there. If you are thinking about buying, don't sit on the fence, because like I mentioned in the beginning part of this video, we definitely are, seeing that rise, and we already are seeing it. Like I said, I have seen it in these interest rates. So who's to say where they will go to? Even though they're saying the average will be 3.5, that is the average. Some folks may be a little above average, who knows, but you definitely want to get involved as soon as possible. All right. And we talked about the fact of home prices rising and so forth. I definitely think that rising home prices are a thing that's going to stick around for a bit. Just as other things are rising in price, groceries, gas, and so forth, so are home prices. Housing is a hot commodity. We're seeing that with rentals and so forth. So I don't anticipate anything with that changing in the near future. So it's something that we are definitely going to have to adjust to and get used to and live with, essentially. So I hope that these predictions have in some way, shape, or form helped you. I hope that we all are successful, whether we're buying, whether we're selling our home, whether we're getting that rental in 2022. Stay tuned for my next video within the next week, where I want to discuss housing goals. Again, buying, selling, renting, whatever it is, what are your 2022 housing goals? Let's think about that. All right, guys. Well, it has always and always will, and it's always a pleasure with you all. I love discussing real estate. It is my passion, and I thank you all for joining me as usual. Until the next time, have a blessed one.